everybody. Welcome to my kitchen. I decided to move our reading location today, but I think I've read from here a time or two. So we are on chapters 5 and 6. Books. Jack and Annie ran up the front entrance of the villa. Jack pushed the open door. "Go in, hurry," said Annie. They slipped into the main hall. "Hello?" Annie called. There was no answer. The place seemed empty. The main hall had a large opening in the ceiling. Below it was a small stone pool filled with water. Jack looked at it carefully. "Oh, I bet rain comes through that hole," said Jack. "Then it lands in that pool so they can use it for their water." He started to take out his notebook to make a note. "No, there's no time, Jack," said Annie. "We have to look in all the rooms for the books." Okay, calm down," said Jack. He put away his notebook and followed Annie. Books, she said, peering into the room off the hall. She moved to the next room. Books. Then she moved on to the next. Jack trailed behind her. Even though she had already checked the rooms, he took a quick peek in each of them. He wanted to see what a house in Roman times looked like. He'd write notes later. The first 2 rooms had wooden beds. The walls had pictures painted on them. The floors were covered with tiny pieces of colored stone. The 3rd room had a low table with silver dishes on it. 3 sloping couches were placed around the table. The couches were covered with pillows. This must be the dining room," said Jack. "People from Roman times lay down at couches while they ate. Did you know that?" He looked around for Annie. Where was she? "Jack, come here," she called. Jack followed her voice. She was in the garden off the dining room. It had a stone patio, palm trees, and grapevines. In the middle of the pond was a pond with a mermaid fountain. Goldfish swam in the water. "Look, there's another room," said Annie. She moved to the door of the room off the garden. She opened the door and peeked inside. Jack looked with her. Along the walls of the room were long shelves with rolls of paper on them. "Rats," said Annie. "No books." She closed the door. "No books in this whole villa. Let's get out of here." "Just a minute," said Jack. "I have an idea." He pulled out his book on Roman times and he found a section called Writing. He read, "Romans used pens made of small reeds. Their ink came partly from the black ink of an octopus. They wrote their books on scrolls of papyrus paper." "Aha," said Jack. "That's a library of scrolls. I bet our ancient lost story is in there." Chapter 6. The end is here. Ooh. Jack threw open the door to the room of the scrolls. He and Annie rushed in and ran over the shelves. Jack pulled out the piece of paper with the Latin title on it. Ver Fortissimus in Mundo. "Okay," he said. "We have to find the scroll with this title." They began frantically unrolling scrolls, one by one. They were all handwritten in Latin. "Here it is," said Annie. She held up the scroll. The words at the top matched the ones on the paper. "Yay," said Jack. "I wish I could read Latin so I could find out what the story is." "Don't think about that now," said Annie. "Let's go." Annie handed the scroll back to Jack and then started out of the room. "Come on," she said. "Bring it." "I just want to check to see what the story's about," said Jack. He put the scroll in his leather bag. Then he flipped through the book on Roman times, looking for a picture of the ancient scroll. And in the middle of the book, he found a picture of the volcano erupting over the town. Under the picture was written, "For 800 years, Mount Vesuvius was a peaceful mountain, rising above the town of Pompeii. Then at noon on August 24, AD 79, it erupted into a deadly volcano." "Oh no," whispered Jack. "August 24th, AD 79. That's today." "Oh man, what time is it?" He looked around wildly. "Annie!" She was gone again. "Annie!" Jack grabbed the leather bag, then clutched the book. He tore out of the scroll room. "Annie!" he cried. "What?" Annie appeared in the door of the dining room. The volcano!" shuddered Jack. "What?" said Annie. It's coming, a volcano at noon," said Jack. Annie gasped. "What time is it?" cried Jack. "So that's what the soothsayer meant," Annie said. "The end is near." "What time is it?" Jack asked again. He looked around the garden. He saw something near the mermaid fountain. "A sundial," he said. "That's how Romans told time." Jack and Annie raced to the sundial. "What time does it say?" said Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. The hands shook as he turned the pages of the book. He stopped at a picture of a sundial. It showed the examples of different times. Jack looked back and forth from the page to the real sundial in the garden. "Here," he said. He had found one that matched. Jack read the writing under the picture. "The shadow on the sundial can hardly be seen at noon." "Oh, man," he whispered. He looked at Annie. "The end isn't near. The end is here." Just then he heard a terrible blast. It was the loudest sound he'd ever heard. Ooh, and we're going to have to find out what happens next tomorrow. I hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday and doing wonderful and great things with your summer. I miss you all, and have a happy Wednesday. Bye-bye.